before you hit play. Ask yourself one thing. If you saw your own face staring back from the wrong place, would you know it was really you? Tonight on Halfway Dark, we are re-diving into a string of terrifying stories where the boundary between identity and imitation is razor thin. You'll hear about reflections that stop copying, strangers who look exactly like you, and watchers who know things you never told anyone, not even yourself. These aren't ghost stories. They're the kind of horror you could wake up to. Lock your doors, don't trust your eyes, and remember, when someone knocks, make sure you're the one who answers. RemPlay started showing me dreams that weren't mine. I downloaded the app because I couldn't sleep. It's called RemPlay, marketed as a dream some tech startup using biometric tracking and AI to create short, blurry reconstructions of your dreams based on your phone's microphone and motion sensors while you sleep. Sounded like a gimmick, but I was desperate. I hadn't had real rest in weeks. Just flashes, cold sweats, panic, waking up with my heart racing and no memory why. The app was free, so I figured, why not? First night, nothing happened. It recorded some noise, just ambient room stuff. Maybe me turning over in bed. Second night, it produced a video, less than 20 seconds. It was grainy, out of focus, like it was filmed on a 2003 flip phone underwater. But there were colors, movement, a street, a shadowy figure, someone yelling my name. I didn't remember dreaming it, but it felt familiar. The video was stored in the app under Nightfile 002. There were options to tag emotions, fear, anxiety.com. I selected unclear and moved on. By night 4, it got better or worse, depending on how you look at it. The dreams started to look more real. One video showed me sitting at a table I didn't recognize, arguing with someone whose face was blurred out. My voice was clear though, angry, tense. You don't get to decide what's mine. I don't remember ever saying that, but it sounded exactly like me. The cadence, the tone, and worse, the shirt I was wearing in the video. I found it in the bottom of my laundry hamper the next morning. Dirty, I hadn't worn it in weeks. I chalked it up to coincidence. Maybe the app was pulling data from my phone somehow. Photos, microphone, recordings. Maybe it was assembling things from fragments. I can do creepy stuff now, right? But then the dream videos started showing things that hadn't happened yet. Night 7. RemPlay produced a 33-second video titled Nightfile 007. I was sitting on my bed, looking out the window at a thunderstorm. There was a knock at the door, 3 times. Then a voice from behind the door. Are you ready to remember? I woke up immediately after watching it, sweating. Checked the door. Nothing but the next night. Right at 2:39, thunder rolled in. A storm the weather app hadn't predicted. And then, 3 knocks. Same rhythm, same pause between. I didn't answer. I turned on every light in the apartment and stayed up until sunrise. I wanted to delete the app. I really did. But I didn't, because part of me wanted to know what it would show me next. And that's when it all changed. On night 9, the dream didn't show me at all. It was someone else. Their hands were different, longer fingers, lighter skin. They were standing in a room I'd never seen before. Empty, except for a small desk with a laptop and a single chair. On the screen of the laptop was me, sleeping. The perspective was overhead, like a ceiling cam. I was curled on my side, facing the wall. Then the person reached out and touched the screen. The video cut to black. When I woke up, I ran to check my laptop. It was on, even though I'd powered it down the night before. And in the browser history, the RemPlay dashboard was open. Nightfile 010. The thumbnail showed my face, but the camera angle was from behind me. It wasn't my dream anymore. So I should have deleted the app that morning. Instead, I stared at the laptop screen like it might blink first. The RemPlay dashboard was still open. Video player queued up, Nightfile 010. The thumbnail looked like it was taken from behind me, maybe from the top corner of my room. I don't own a camera, never installed a webcam. I taped over the one on my laptop years ago. Still, I clicked play. The footage began with static, and then a flickering shot of my room. I was in bed, facing the wall, just like I had been all night. Only this time, there were 2 of me. The real me, asleep, and another version of me, standing beside the bed. He looked down at me for a long time, didn't move, just stood there. Then he leaned in and whispered something, too quiet to make out. The screen cut to black. When it came back, the bed was empty. So was the room. No text, no ending. Just 31 seconds of cold terror. I deleted the app right there. Uninstalled, wiped everything. Then I checked the app store. RemPlay was gone. Not just removed from my phone. The entire listing had vanished. No developer name, no support email, no cached page. I tried Googling it. Nothing but dead links and forum posts that 400 forward. It was like it never existed. For a while I convinced myself it was over. But the next night I woke up gasping. No reason, no noise, just panic. Every shadow looked wrong. And the laptop, it was back on. The app had reinstalled itself. No icon this time. Just a plain folder on my desktop labeled RemPlay_backups. Inside were all the same videos. But They had new names now. Not times. File_1 denial, File_2 doubt, File_3 recognition. Each file had a tag under it, one-word descriptions. Fear, confusion, awakening. File_10 was renamed too. I shut the laptop, unplugged it, and stuffed it in my closet under a pile of laundry. That night, I slept on the couch. Around 2:30 a.m. I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, but not in the hallway. In the living room, I held my breath, reached for my phone, dead, no battery. I swear, it was at 80% when I went to sleep. Then, something moved past the kitchen doorway. My shape, but blurred, stuttering like low frame rate video. I didn't move, didn't breathe. It walked right past the couch, never turning, never acknowledging me. Then stopped in front of the closet, where I'd hidden the laptop. It crouched, opened the door, pulled it out, and smiled. Then it turned toward me finally, and spoke with my voice. You really thought deleting it would stop me? I blacked out. When I came to, it was morning, laptop gone, phone at 100%. Everything else normal, except for one thing. The mirrors in the apartment, every one, were covered in black cloth. I didn't do that. Part 3, I don't know if I'm the original anymore. I left the apartment that morning, didn't pack, didn't shower. I just walked out and drove. No destination, just movement. As far from the mirrors, the laptop, and that thing wearing my voice as I could get. I checked into a roadside motel under a fake name. Cash only. The clerk didn't ask questions. Probably not the first time someone looked like I did. Room 12 was bare. One window, one lamp, one mirror. I covered it with a towel and shoved the dresser in front of it. No electronics, just my dead phone and the clothes I wore out. I didn't sleep, but something still found me. At 2:17 a.m. there was a knock. Soft, repeating. I held my breath, thinking it was the motel clerk, or worse, someone from the app, but the knock came from the bathroom door. That's when I remembered. Room 12 didn't have a bathroom. It was one of the few with shared access down the hall. I got up, grabbed the ice bucket as a weapon, and crept toward the door. The knock came again 3 times, then a whisper, muffled through the cheap wood. You forgot your dreams. The doorknob turned slightly, stopped, turned again, slow and rhythmic. I pressed my ear against the door, nothing then a new sound. Not knocking, typing, rhythmic, aggressive. I stepped back. The sound kept going, like someone behind the door was using a laptop. My laptop, I kicked the dresser off the mirror and checked it, no reflection, just darkness. Then, my reflection flickered in. But it was the other me, the one from the dreamfiles.com/confident. A smile I don't make. He looked at me and said, "Do you understand now?" I screamed and smashed the mirror with the ice bucket. Shards scattered, but no sound came from the impact. It was like I was hitting something already broken. I bolted, drove until the sun came up, slept in my car for a few hours at a rest stop. When I woke up, my phone was back on, fully charged, no apps open, except one Remplay, except it didn't look like Remplay anymore. The icon was different. Just a white eye on a black background. When I tapped it, the screen didn't show videos. It showed my life in folders. First memory, first lie. First night you forgot who you were. Each folder had subfiles, videos, photos, texts I didn't remember sending, calls I didn't recall making. One folder was labeled Active Instance. Inside it was a live feed. Me, looking at the screen, but from over my shoulder. Like someone or something was watching me from a foot away. Right now I spun around. No one there. Then I scrolled to the bottom of the screen. A message. Host stability. Failing. Underneath it, would you like to be over? Why? And I hit no and threw the phone onto the passenger seat. It buzzed. New message. From an unknown number. You already said yes. Part 4. Someone else is wearing my life. I threw the phone out of the window. Literally. Watched it hit the gravel and shatter in a dozen pieces across the side of the highway. But I swear as it tumbled end over end, the screen was still lit, still showing me. I drove all day. They didn't stop for gas until the tank was near empty. I paid in cash again. The attendant gave me a look like he was used to seeing people on the edge. That night, I found a cheap Airbnb out in the hills. No smart locks, no voice assistants, no Wi-Fi. The listing advertised that as a feature. For once I agreed. The cabin was rustic. One bed, one bathroom. Just wood. Silence. And blessed isolation. I thought I'd finally outrun it. But around 2 a.m. I woke up gasping, like I'd been underwater. There was a glow in the room. I looked toward the nightstand. My phone was there, whole, powered on. The Remplay icon pulsing on the screen like a heartbeat. I swear to you, I don't know how it got there. I hadn't bought a new one. I hadn't been near a store, hadn't signed into anything, but it knew me. The screen read, "You said yes, finalizing transfer." Below it, a progress bar 99%. Then it hit 100%, and suddenly, everything went still. The screen went dark, and then it showed my face. Not in real time, not sleeping, but standing, wearing clothes I hadn't put on yet. looking into the camera with that same too-wide smile. He said, "Thank you for the body. It fits better this time." Then he blinked just once and it wasn't me anymore. The eyes were wrong. He turned and walked out of frame and I couldn't move. I tried, I screamed in my head, willed my hands to move, my lungs to breathe. Not that I heard the creak of the cabin floorboards. Someone else walking around, wearing my weight, wearing my breath. I was stuck inside something. Like a dream I couldn't wake up from. Like I was behind glass. Watching. I'm still here, still watching. He goes through the routines well. He smiles better than I ever did. He knows my memories, speaks in my voice. People think I got healthier, but every night, when he plugs in the phone, he watches someone else. The next one, a new host. And every night, he looks right at the screen and whispers to me, the me still trapped in here. You should have slept through it. There's a subreddit dedicated to watching my life, and it's growing. It started as a joke. A coworker sent me a screenshot from Reddit. Said I had a doppelganger in some weird subreddit called Room Watching. I checked it out. It was mostly blurry photos of strangers, grainy hallway cams, street corners, people on buses. Creepy, but not totally unheard of. Then I found one that stopped me cold. A photo of my bedroom, taken from inside the room. From the angle, it had to be shot from the top corner. Like a mounted camera. You could see my bed, the lamp, the little rip in the curtain I still haven't fixed. I thought it had to be old. But then I noticed a book on my nightstand. One I'd bought 3 days ago. The title was readable. Posted by a user named YouTube. Caption. OP still hasn't noticed the camera. It had 328 up, dozens of comments. Some were making jokes. He sleeps like a corpse, lol, bro, doesn't even move. Bet he dreams in standard def, others were worse. Have you tested the voice yet? I didn't sleep that night. I tore my apartment apart, checked vents, corners, closets, under furniture, nothing. I emailed Reddit support. No response. I called the police. They took a report, said they'd look into it, never followed up. The next day, a new post went up. A video me cooking, timestamped. From that morning, angle was low, behind the microwave. I checked, nothing there, no lens, no device. Caption, he made pasta. Again, getting boring. The comments now, in the hundreds. More users, more activity, dozens of usernames I didn't recognize commenting like they'd been watching for weeks. One even said, I liked the old one better. That's when I realized this wasn't the first time they'd watched someone. I started documenting everything, screenshotting every post, logging every time I left or entered a room. And the posts kept coming. Different angles, different times of day. Once, a shot of me in the shower, fuzzy butt, clearly me. I threw up. I stopped going home. Crushed my phone. Got a burner. But the posts continued. A new one showed me in a motel room I'd checked into under a fake name. Caption, he really thinks it's about the room. I lost it, made a Reddit account, posted a plea in the subreddit. Who are you? How are you doing this? It was deleted in less than a minute. Then I got a message. From you, the one sentence. You let us in the moment you looked. I closed my laptop and smashed the power cord. Burned every piece of tech I owned. But I couldn't stop thinking. You let us in the moment you looked. Looked at what? Then I remembered the first time I saw the subreddit, that photo. My room, my bed, but in the background on the wall, there had been something small I hadn't noticed until now. A mirror, tiny, unfamiliar. I never owned one like that. I dug through my old photos, checked the corner, and oh mirror, I looked again today, it's there now. And this morning a package arrived at my door. No return address. Inside, a brand new mirror with a note taped to the front. Install this where the last one broke. They're waiting. I keep losing hours and waking up somewhere new. It started with little things. I'd zone out while doing dishes, then realized the water had gone cold and I was holding the same plate for 15 minutes. I'd wake up and the TV would be on a channel I never watch, or I'd find a half-eaten sandwich I don't remember making. I thought it was stress. I work long hours, barely sleep. Maybe I was just burning out. But then I started losing time, like full chunks of it. Hours at a time. The first one scared me bad. I was on the couch around 9:45 p.m., phone in hand, reading a text. Next thing I knew, I was outside. Behind my building, 3:12 a.m. No jacket, no shoes, no phone. Just standing in the grass, shivering. I checked my call log the next morning. I dialed my old high school 3 times. Never left a voicemail. When I called them back later that day, the receptionist told me someone had asked about enrollment forms. I haven't been a student in 10 years. I started keeping a log. Every detail. Time I slept, time I ate, where I left my keys just in case. That's when I noticed something worse. I was getting better at hiding it from myself. The log would be perfectly filled out, right until a block of blank space. Then suddenly back to normal, like nothing happened. Only I hadn't written those entries. The handwriting was close. Not exact, slightly neater, more patient. One entry read, everything's fine. You needed a rest. I handled it. I started setting up my phone to record while I slept. The first 2 nights, nothing, just snoring. Then on night 3 I watched myself get up around 2:41am.com/deliberate. I unplugged the phone, closed the camera app, looked directly into the lens and smiled. Then said, "No more recordings." The video ended. I checked the recycle bin. Empty. The file hadn't been saved. The app had uploaded it to the cloud automatically. If it hadn't, I never would have seen it. After that, I stopped sleeping at night. I locked the fridge, the windows, even my bedroom door from the inside. But every time I came back, something had changed. A picture frame turned around. Shoes placed neatly in the center of the room. TV paused on static. And always, new handwriting in the journal. "You're safe. You're doing better. It's easier when you don't resist." Then I started waking up with dirt on my hands, under my nails, twigs in my hair. Once I had blood on my shirt. Not much, just a drop or two. I checked the news. No incidents, no break-ins, no accidents. But still, something was wrong. The worst was 2 nights ago. I blacked out around 8:15 p.m. Woke up inside someone else's house. A stranger's living room. Family photos on the walls. Toys on the floor. I panicked, ran out the back door before anyone saw me. I still don't know how I got in. When I got home, the journal was open on the table. They won't remember either. Last night I handcuffed myself to the radiator. Keys taped to the ceiling. Alarm set. Phone in the corner recording. This morning I woke up in bed. Handcuffs open. Keys placed neatly on my pillow. Journal on my chest. One line, in darker ink than usual. Lost test tonight. After that, we'll stay. My friend came back from a hike different, and I don't think he is human anymore. I've known Caleb since middle school. He's the kind of friend you don't grow out of. Always around. Always up for anything. We were roommates once. Knew each other like brothers. That's why I noticed something was off the second he came back from his solo hiking trip. He left on a Friday, said he needed to disconnect. A remote trail out past the state line. No signal, no people, just woods. Typical Caleb reset button. He came back Sunday night, texted me back, "Let's catch up tomorrow." I stopped by his place the next day. He answered the door, smiling, like always. Same face, same voice. But the smile didn't reach his eyes. Not really. The inside of his apartment was spotless. To clean. Caleb's usually a mess. Dishes in the sink, laundry everywhere, but everything was folded, wiped down. That's when I noticed the books on his shelf. They were all backwards, spines facing the wall. "New system?" I asked. He looked at them like he was seeing them for the first time. "Oh yeah, just trying something. Weird, but fine. People get weird after too much solitude." But it kept going. When we got coffee, he didn't order as usual. Didn't even seem to remember what it was. He kept asking me odd questions. Things he should have known. "What's your sister's name again? Have we been to this place before? Do you remember what I was doing last Tuesday?" I laughed him off. But inside, I was uneasy. It felt like someone wearing Caleb, acting out a role they hadn't studied enough. Then there were the calls. At 3:08 a.m., for 3 nights in a row, I got a call from his number. Never said anything, just breathing. On the 3rd night, I finally spoke. "Caleb, if this is you, say something." There was a long pause, then a voice, low and calm. "Not quite right. I'm just listening to how I sound now." I hung up the next day. I confronted him. "You've been calling me at night," I said. He looked confused. "No, I haven't. I've been sleeping." Then he smiled. That same too-wide smile I was starting to hate. "You might have been dreaming." That night, I checked my phone again. No call logs. Nothing in recent history. It was like it never happened. Except I still had the voicemail. 12 seconds of breathing. And at the end, he's deeper in the woods than you think. I went to his place the next morning. Banged on the door. No answer. When I peeked through the window, the apartment was empty. Not just quiet. Furniture gone, walls bare, like no one had lived there in weeks. I texted him. The message sent, then disappeared from the thread. I tried again. Same result. Then a new message popped up. "You shouldn't be looking for him." I called the ranger station near the hiking trail he'd mentioned. They had no record of him signing in. No mention of Caleb anywhere in the logs. Except one guy said something strange. There was a car out there, empty, parked 3 days longer than allowed. He gave me the license plate. It matched Caleb's. I drove out there myself. Parked, hiked up the trail. About 2 miles in, I found his camp. The tent was still pitched. Inside, a half-burned journal, soaked from rain. Most of the pages were unreadable, but one entry scrawled in the back in thick black pen was still visible. Something came back with me, but it isn't me. If you're reading this, don't talk to me. DONT, look at me. And whatever you do, don't follow me back. I found notes hidden in my apartment, written by someone who lives here when I sleep. I moved into this place 2 months ago. It's a small apartment. Old building, 2nd floor, kind of crooked, but it's cheap and quiet. Or at least, I thought it was quiet. The first time I noticed something was off was when I found a note under my coffee table. It was written on torn notebook paper, folded in half. No envelope, no dust on it, like it had just been placed there. The handwriting was messy, childlike, all uppercase. I like when you leave the TV on. At first I figured it had fallen out of a book or an old box I'd unpacked, maybe something left by the last tenant. I threw it away. 3 days later, another one, tucked inside the kitchen cabinet, behind a cereal box I'd just bought. You wake up different every time. I stared at it for a while. It didn't make sense. I don't sleepwalk. I don't move things around, but now I started wondering if I did. I checked the locks, nothing broken, nothing forced. Front door and windows were all still sealed. Still, I changed the locks that night, just in case. The next note came a week later. Inside the fridge, right under a bottle of orange juice. You didn't see me yesterday, but I saw you. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound in the building made me jump. Pipes creaking, neighbors walking above me, a distant cough that could have been from the hallway. Or closer, I started setting up little traps. Flour on the floor near the front door, tape on the bathroom handle. Nothing disturbed, no prints, no smudges. But the notes kept coming. Inside the microwave. You eat too fast. Under my pillow, you talk in your sleep. I'll write IT down. I stopped turning off the lights. Then the notes changed. They weren't just observations anymore. They were questions. One taped to the inside of my closet door said, "Do you remember me yet?" Another, "Inside my shoe, if I wear these, do I become you?" That one made me sick. I threw out every pair of shoes I owned. I started leaving a voice recorder running while I slept. The first 2 nights, just rustling, my own snoring. But the third night, there was whispering, too quiet to make out at first, but slow, careful, close to the mic. Then a clear voice, hoarse and dry, said, "You're wasting time pretending you don't know me." The next morning, I found the recorder placed gently on my chest. Still recording. That was the last night I slept in my bed. I moved everything I needed into the living room and slept on the couch, facing the front door with a knife under my pillow. But the notes kept coming. I stopped opening them, didn't matter. One night I woke up to a sound, paper sliding. I pretended to stay asleep. When I opened my eyes, I saw it. Another note, placed on my chest, held down by my own hand. Like I'd been made to hold it. I finally read it. "There's one more note, then I get to be you. That was last night. Tonight I've been awake for 20 hours straight. All the lights on, front door chained, dresser shoved against it. And still, somehow, I just found a note taped to the inside of my glasses. I hadn't even taken them off. It says, "Thank you for the eyes. Hello, welcome to my channel. This happened a few years ago. At the time, I was going through a messy divorce and had recently lost my job. To say I was broke would be an understatement. I hadn't moved out yet, but it was only a matter of time. My wife wanted me gone by Christmas. One afternoon, I saw a posting for a basement apartment in a neighboring town. It seemed like a decent deal. The agent said it was part of a duplex and was being rented for about half the normal rate because it needed a few minor repairs. The ad didn't have any pictures, and the agent admitted that the landlord was a bit eccentric, but insisted that the place was safe and legal. There were no red flags, and my desperation knew no bounds. I paid the deposit and first month's rent without even seeing it and packed up all my stuff. The day I went to move in, I noticed some strange things. The agent was nowhere to be found. I couldn't get inside because the lock on the front door had been removed. And when I finally located the agent to get a key, he acted very nervously and said that there must have been a miscommunication and that I was unsupposed to move in quite yet. He made a big stink about how he was gone and I'll lose his commission if I did unsign the lease right then and there. So I refused to budge and ended up moving in anyway. I knew that I should have walked away when I saw the worn-out locks on the windows and doors. But I was desperate and tired and just wanted a place to crash. My new apartment was sparsely furnished with a bed, a desk and a chair, a table and 2 lamps. Nothing matched and none of it was particularly comfortable, but it was enough for me to unpack and get my bearings. The fridge was empty, which was fine by me, but the cupboards were bare except for a single can of soup and a box of what looked like old spaghetti. I got a pizza delivered that night and settled in. When I went to watch TV, I realized that the antenna didn't reach anything but static. I tried calling my wife to tell her where I'd be staying, but my calls went straight to voicemail. I was getting a little freaked out at this point, but figured that I could get used to the flickering lights and temperamental plumbing. But I wouldn't be able to handle much more than that. I mean, it wasn't like I had anyone to complain to about these issues. I didn't even know who owned the place. Over the next few weeks, I started to notice other things. Sometimes the whole way outside my apartment would stretch on forever. Other times, I'd see myself reflected in a window, but it wouldn't be me looking back. Sometimes I'd hear noises at night that sounded like muffled screams, but they were too deep, too animalistic to be human. Once I thought I heard my name being called, but I couldn't figure out where the sound was coming from. I checked the phone line to make sure it was UNT coming from the TV, and it was UNT. I told myself that I was just stressed out and missing my meds. After all, I had just been evicted from my home and my marriage was in shambles. It was probably just temporary. Then the dreams began. They always took place in the same room. I'd be lying on a couch, wrapped up in a heavy blanket. I couldn't move or speak, but I could feel my body slowly being drained of all sensation. It felt like everything was being sucked out of me. Then I'd wake up in my bed, soaked in a cold sweat. I tried to get my mail forwarded there, but my post office box was emptied and sent to the dead letter office. I tried to get utilities set up in my name, but they said that the account had already been established under another person's name. I asked the neighbor across the hall if she knew who lived in the apartments around me, but she just gave me a funny look and said that there aren't many apartments here. You must be new. She turned and walked away before I could ask any more questions. One day I decided to visit the local courthouse and see if I could find the owner of the house. The woman at the records office did a quick search and told me that the address I was looking for was in their jurisdiction. It was in a different county. She suggested that I try asking the assessor's office or the city court. The assessor's office had no record of the property. The city court told me that they had no record of a house having been built at that address ever. It was as if the house didn't exist. I even tried visiting the post office to see if they could help me track down the owner, but they just laughed at me and hung up. Meanwhile, my health was starting to deteriorate. I couldn't sleep at night, so I started drinking a lot. And one morning I woke up and realized that my entire body felt bruised and sore. I don't remember much after that. I just remember waking up and sleeping again and waking up and sleeping again for days on end. When I finally snapped out of it, I tried to stand up, but I couldn't. My legs felt weak, my vision blurred, and I couldn't seem to get my bearings. I tried to call for help, but no sound came out. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. I tried to sit up and take stock of what was going on. All I remember is that I felt very nauseous and cold and wet. I don't know how long I spent like that. Days, weeks, months. Time doesn't mean anything to me anymore. But eventually I was able to drag myself to the bathroom and look in the mirror. At first all I could see was my own reflection staring back at me. I was so happy. I thought that maybe I was finally getting better. But as I stared into the mirror, the face in front of me slowly began to change. The skin stretched and thinned over my skull until I didn't recognize the creature staring back at me. I tried to call for help, but no sound came out. My lips didn't move. I tried to scream, but my throat was hoarse and dry. I watched helplessly as the creature in the mirror grew larger and angrier and more. Its eyes burned into mine, promising pain and torment. Then it spoke. "This isn't your reflection. Who are you?" I tried to answer, but no words came out. I tried to explain, but nothing came out. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I slumped to the floor in defeat and crawled back into bed. Sometimes when I'm awake, I think I'm getting better. Sometimes I think that maybe I'm finally remembering who I am. But then I go to the bathroom and stare in the mirror and it starts all over again. Have you ever seen this apartment for rent? Was it you? Are you in danger? If you made it this far, maybe you should take one more look in the mirror. Not too close, not for too long. Because sometimes the thing watching from the other side isn't waiting to copy you, it's waiting to take over. Thanks for watching Halfway Dark. Subscribe if you want more stories like this, the ones that feel a little too real. I'll see you next time, if it's still you by then.